Hello, and here's today's update on yesterday's closes and where we are overnight this morning. We can start off with dollar yen, which is the most interesting one. This is the dollar yen spot rate on the daily. A couple of things to note. First thing is the weekly support, which was a long way away, all the way down here from probably way back, all the way back to last year. Has moved, and it looked like it was a support point, and then this morning it's flipped to resistance. And the other thing that's important to note, I've just put the Ichimoku Inku study on. There's a lot of nonsense talked about Ichimoku, people applying it to Western markets. Doesn't make any sense to do that whatsoever. The reason you only put it on Japanese markets is, believe me, every single trader I ever saw in Japan or always had Ichimoku on a daily and a weekly basis, and I was taught by the head of it, Mitsubishi FX, how to use it. The guy who wrote it, it's the actual workings of it is about 7 foot high in all the journals, would you believe? And he died before he finished it, apparently. So immensely complicated if you really get deep into it. But there's just a few key things that I'm really interested in and what most of the Japanese market focuses on. And we've had one of them today, and that is the breaking of the cloud support. So you can see you've got this shaded area here, it's sort of held it, and then so far today it's closing, well, it's priced below it. So if it stays below it, there is the chance that the Japanese traders, when they wake up in the morning, all head for the exit at once, either getting out of longs or looking to get short. And the thing that's also important, no support for a long way, 10 big figures. If I do the futures, it's exactly the same, except for the inverse, which isn't always the case. It can be different, and we're breaking above the cloud, and again we're trading at 91.20. There is nothing there till a monthly level at 98.87, so there's plenty of room for that to move. So we will be looking to get involved in that. There's a variety of ways you can do it. You can do it in futures, you can do it in spot, you can do it in options. One of the cheapest ways, if we're thinking that there might be a really quick move, then there is actually some 3-day options. So they're going to expire on Friday. It's going to take you through the Comey testimony and a few other bits and pieces. A 91.50 call, which is just out of the money, cost you about 27 ticks, which is about $400. Obviously it's only got 3 days to go, so not very long, but some of these moves can be swift, and it's a pretty cheap way to get involved. If it expires and it doesn't make the money, you still have the opportunity to get in next week. We'll stick with currencies, so just do the euro dollar. We don't need Ichimoku now. Actually, sorry. While we're on Japan, just the Nikkei. Nikkei's been pretty interesting. It's not something that I trade. I don't like to trade things when I'm asleep, obviously. But there's this major buy signal down here. So this was a pops, time continuation, and a bullwhip, and a steps timing point, all on the same bar at support. That doesn't happen very often. It's a shame it's on a market that we don't trade. But since then, we're holding above this monthly breakout level. We're way above the cloud. So the Nikkei, along with a lot of indexes, still not showing any signs of topping out. Going back to the euro dollar, not much to report there. We can remove Ichimoku, we don't need that now. Nothing's moved to the top of the trend. Go to the pound. We've got the election on Thursday. Not really one to get involved in. Obviously we don't know what the result's going to be. Polls have it pretty close, which seems bizarre, but who knows. Aussie dollar, which has moved back up. There was a buy on payroll. We've extended back up, but really we're just rotating, so we've still got this level at 75.25. A bit more interesting was Aussie Kiwi, which gave a buy signal, time continuation, but this is where it has to be qualified by support and resistance, and it was coming right into a monthly resistance at 104.94. We didn't close above it, and it's reversed straight back down overnight. So keeping an eye on Aussie Kiwi could be an interesting one. Finally, dollar index. As we know, it broke down a couple of weeks ago now. We've had time continuations, so what we call divergences of continuation sells. Still looks like it's under pressure. Support is distant. No reason to go against the trend at this stage, that's for sure. Go on to indexes. Start with the E-mini. Took out 23.99 beginning of last week, which signalled another leg higher. That's exactly what we're doing. No sign of anything moving to the top of the trend. Nasdaq, as always, the strongest one, still powering ahead. That was pretty close, pretty quiet yesterday. As mentioned before, the Dow got this monthly level, and it just about closed above it on Friday. Still pretty quiet. I'd like to see a weekly close above that level before I could say that it's going to have another leg higher. Moving on to Europe, got the DAX. It was a holiday yesterday. There was a holiday in a lot of Europe. Just gapped lower this morning, and it's trying to build a sell signal. Which would be interesting if that stays there. Markets reverse or accelerate around holidays, so I'll be keeping an eye on that into the close. Euro stocks not performing so well, but still very much in an uptrend. Finally, the FTSE. Again, we've had a timing point, which is probably a 120. Yeah, that's right. But we're still in an uptrend. It held that weekly breakout point perfectly a couple of weeks ago. If we do Australia, pretty poor, very poor yesterday. So that looks like it has the opportunity to break down. If it came up to the 57.41 point, look for a failure there. Not much in terms of support. Go on to bonds. Start off with the Treasury bonds in America. Broke out on payroll. Obviously had some buys back here in the middle of May. Looking at this 156.10 level, that's really where the focus is. Get up to there, then be very interested to see whether the rally stops. But at the moment, the trend is most definitely up. Same on 10-year notes, so slightly shorter end of the curve. Buys on the lows, power play acceleration, resistance a long way away. Do the Ultra. Now the Ultra did give a minor sell signal yesterday. There's a bear cage and a time continuation, but it was just coming into support, which it pretty much held perfectly, and now it's going back up again. Again, nothing above, so got to be careful with where that can go, but the T-bonds would dictate where the Ultras go. On the 5-year note, you can see we have buys across the whole curve on that 15th of May. Broke nearby resistance, which was only dailies, and it's extending up on 19.16. If we move to Europe, Bunds, again a big weekly level, 165.17, which is not very far away. It's only another 40 points. Had a minor sell yesterday, but not really any range, and it was coming into support, so not too interested. But that 165.17 level we are interested in. The Booksall, again, nothing above for quite a way. We move into the UK, not one to really want to get involved in ahead of the election. We had a timing point, but not at resistance. We didn't come back down to support. Now we're edging back up again. One that's a bit more interesting is the BTP, which is the Italian bond, and that's come down towards its weekly support. It didn't quite hit the Hinkanashi daily support, 132.15, and the low was 20. Trying to build a buy signal today. That's a time continuation. And I'll also do the French bond. This was a major resistance, 148. I think it was 02 to 20. You can see it stopped it. Then we got a buy. Time continuation, broke up the following day, held the zone, and we're just in breakout mode, so nothing at the moment to say that that trend won't continue. Go on to commodities, crude oil. Not much to report there. Remember that we had that 49.88 point, 49.98, sorry. We failed there, closed below it, extended down. Got a big monthly level at 46.24. Got some stats out tomorrow afternoon, so be watching that pretty closely. If we do Brent, sometimes there is a different story there. The support is extremely powerful, but it's further away. So there's a weekly and a monthly very, very close together. So we'd be interested in that if and when it gets there. Gold. Extended higher, held that weekly level on the 26th, 12.56.2, and I think the level was 12.55.7, so half a buck. Closing in on this 1300, just above 1300, so be watching that. Silver, which again on Friday, convincingly on a weekly basis, took out that 1733 point that we talked about for a while. That can extend up a fair way as well. Just do copper. See what copper's been doing. Not much to report there. It's pretty boring. And as we are involved in the grains, we'll have a look there. Corn wrote a big report yesterday, still going sideways. It's very, very quiet. But there is a cliche, never sell a quiet market, and the reason why it's a cliche is because it's true. So at some point something's going to happen. Weather-wise, it's a little bit, not so much rain in there, quite a bit of heat, but it's still quite early in the growing season, so plenty of time yet for something to happen there. If we do beans, which don't have the same fundamental story, we received a bullwhip, but it's coming right into the breakdown point, so 926, close above 926, and this is obviously a false break. There was some annual range relativity or semi-annual levels that were of interest as well. So close above 926, can start moving the other way. The funds are very short grains, that's for sure. I do soy meal. That broke down a while ago. Again, we've had a bullwhip, 3 timing points of stepping, so that'll be 240, 420, and probably 120. It's not going to market, is it? Again, the original breakdown point 30.96, and that's the focus there. And bean oil, which also broke down, it's pretty quiet. Took out the daily level, extended lower, and now we've had a pops and a time continuation buy. So a few things there saying that for the time being at least soybeans, the soybean complex is stabilising. Okay, so that's it for the roundup. A few takeaways there. Certainly watching the yen pretty closely to see what happens there, and we'll be looking to get involved there in a variety of different ways. Okay, thank you.